Or we got Joe Brusic in the house this morning, Mr. Joe Brusic, our Yakima County prosecutor. And good morning, Joe.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dave. It's always an honor and privilege.
Where's my? Hold on, Joe.
Hold on, we got to get your mic on here, Joe.
Yeah,
We
but
got to figure out the right button.
We got the right buttons.
Okay.
Don't we? What mic is he plugged into?
Okay, he's into this one right here.
So you want him to use that one?
That one.
I see. How about now, Joe?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Loud and clear.
Oh.
So
Absolutely.
what is this one for then? This is an ornament? It sounds like crap. Ah, well it does, doesn't it? Let's see if it can serve as a boat anchor. All right, good. Joe's here. Hello, Joe. Thank you for
Good
being
morning.
here. Sorry for the confusion.
Well, that's all right. It's always an honor and privilege to be with you in the morning. Thank
And
you.
a bit of a mystery sometimes, just getting your voice onto the air. But here you are. Joe, you are, your name is being kicked around under the conversations about this Highs shooting thing. And I don't know if there's a more delicate tap dancey way to get into this, Lance, or do we just...
No, I think that's the best way.
plunge right? We're,
yeah.
I love our relationship. We're straight shooters. You give us the straight scoop, we give
Yep.
you the straight scoop, and people can rely on that. And so we're hearing more about that than anything in a while, I think, out of the prosecutor's office about how all of that went down, the decisions that were made
Sure.
based on observations that other people feel that they have that are legitimate, but maybe not taken into consideration. So you want to peel this onion from the very top and walk us through how we got to where we are?
Yes, absolutely. And, it's an honor to be able to talk about it because I am accountable and transparent to everyone in Yakima County about anything we do in the prosecutor's office to the extent that our ethical restrictions prevent us from talking about various cases.
Right.
The reality is that anything happens in Yakima County that involves our office needs to be made known to the people, and any decision that I make is we can discuss at any time. The reality for this, number one, this is a tragic shooting and loss of life for anybody, and for Mr. Guillen, it's tremendously sad, regardless of whether he's involved in a gang or not. It's loss of life in our
Right.
community. It destabilizes our county.
Right.
And we go into that in the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office always when we evaluate evidence. When we make decisions, I mean, we have been tasked as prosecutors to be able to charge people with crime. And if you think about how important that is, we get to label someone's behavior when something takes place. And we make a discretionary decision, and we use our discretion, and the law provides for us to use our discretion to make decisions. And sometimes those decisions are extremely popular and very supported by the community, by the victims, by the various people involved, including law enforcement. And other times we make decisions that are not popular, that are not based upon what people want. But as an attorney, as a prosecutor, we're under ethical guidelines to charge people with crimes when we believe that we have probable cause and can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt to a trier of fact, whether it be a judge or a jury. Under these circumstances, we evaluate every case that way, whether it's the theft of a candy bar or whether it's a first-degree aggravated murder. Doesn't matter. And therein lies the rub, because now you talk about ethics, you talk about making the right decision, you don't pander to the public and to the voters, you don't make a decision. It's really easy for me to sign a document. It takes 5 minutes for one of our great specialists in our office, in the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office, to charge someone with a crime based upon me saying to do so, and for me to sign that document, and all of a sudden they're immersed in the criminal justice system for a case that people then believe and expect that we can prove. Why would we charge someone with a crime if we can't prove it? We wouldn't do so, right? So we have to look at it from the charging side of things very closely, regardless of the underlying crime or criminal allegation. And because of that, we don't have, the loss of life and a potential murder charge doesn't change that equation. It only makes us hone it and make sure that we're doing it even more so because of the seriousness of immersing someone with a murder charge, but also creating the expectations with the victim, the victim's family, and the community that we can prove the case. If we charge something out just to see what sticks on the wall when we throw it, that's unethical in my opinion.
All right,
And
but hold on a second.
Yeah.
And I respect and appreciate that. We have gradients, we have degrees
Right.
based on all of those things that we're supposed to look to match up. And so if you do, if you overcharge, you get nothing. But to have bodies on the street and people driving away isn't the outcome people want either. So what is the mechanism by which you can charge a range, or can we not, so that there could be some measure of justice rather than it's either or, murder or out?
Well, the idea in this particular case, once again, is that when we charge this case out with the loss of a life and an allegation involving murder, we look at that particular charge, or say drive-by shooting first. The reality is we could potentially charge out something less, say like unlawful possession of a firearm, right? And we still potentially could charge that out. But if we charge that out, that person comes in, they plead guilty. We can't ever go back to the murder charge because of double jeopardy, right?
Okay.
So the reality is we don't charge something much less out, because what's going to happen, the community is going to look and say, well, you got someone that's shot on the street by highs in the afternoon on this particular day, and what the hell is an unlawful possession of a firearm mean? This is murder. Why didn't they charge out murder? So we have to be careful. So we
Understood, but are there charges pending now?
No charges
right.
pending.
So what the hell is a dead body on the street and no charges filed? Is that worse than unlawful possession of a firearm?
At least you're holding them on unlawful possession of a firearm, I guess, right?
Exactly.
I get that you can't go back, but do we fully expect that we're going to be getting second bites at all of these guys that are going to they've got a chip in their pocket to walk around right now? That chip's keeping them from being prosecuted because we may want to call that chip in later?
Well, please understand that when we made the decision based upon the investigation at the time, it was within several days of the incident taking place.
Right.
So this is an acute situation. This is law enforcement, YPD, who did a great job investigating this case. And I applaud the Yakima Police Department for how hard they worked on this case. And within several days, we had to make a decision as to charging them with murder.
What is the time frame? Is there a legal time frame that you're
within 72 hours?
72 hours,
Yes.
the official
Once they
charge.
make their preliminary appearance in court, we have 72
good.
hours. Generally, we charge it out, and we get it for the specialist to get it done within 48 hours or so. So we have essentially no more than 3 days before we've got to. And arraignment is set thereafter 14 days later.
And a quick aside, that's longstanding legal criteria in our system, right? 72 hours, you got to cut them loose, the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Does that need to be ultimately reviewed, in your opinion, down the road? I mean, a more workable system. Obviously, we want to be fair to the people that we're holding. At the same time, you guys got to have enough time to weigh the material and make a valid judgment that you can determine that you can make a case beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Well, certainly that could be a consideration.
I mean, would like 5 working days? I mean, and again, this is big picture stuff down the road,
Yeah.
but would that not help the office and still provide reasonableness for the suspect and a fairness for the community?
Well, that's the key. The question here is the balancing act, right? Everything in the criminal justice
Right.
system is a balancing act. You have the rights of the victim and the community and the destabilization based upon a criminal act versus the rights of the defendant. Remember, anybody at this point is only a suspect until charged.
Right.
Once they're charged, they're a defendant. But throughout the entire process, they're presumed innocent until a judge or a jury, a trier of fact, finds them guilty after a trial, after a hearing, or they plead guilty
Right.
and they give up that right. So
right.
the reality is their rights are protected under the
Right,
law.
they're on hold, but if they were on hold for 5 days, we threw a little extra cranberry in with their turkey dinner for 2 extra days, give you guys more time to do what you need
But
to
please
do.
understand, in this particular case, and in most cases, we can make, based upon an excellent investigation,
Sure,
like I
you've
said,
got-
we can make a decision. And
You've
in
got
this
the
case,
history. You've got you work the system. You're entrenched in a system. I'm just calling a question about the system from 30,000 feet for the sake of conversation.
Sure.
But you feel comfortable that you had enough time, you had enough evidence. The 72 hours was not a factor in being able to reach the conclusion that you reached on a charging decision at this point.
I do feel comfortable, and here's
Okay.
why. The Yakima Police Department did a great job investigating the case. The Yakima County Prosecutor's Office and a number of us worked with these officers directly immediately after the incident took place, talking with them, working them up.
Looking at video.
That's the beauty of communication between law enforcement and the prosecutor's
Right.
office, which I believe that we share, not just with YPD, but with YSO and all the other Valley agencies. Communication is the bedrock to success in
Yeah.
our community, in our on the criminal justice side, and that's what we engaged in. I personally called 4 or 5 of the officers, including Chief Murray, before making this final decision. prosecutors in our office, we discussed this. There were 4 or 5 of us that went over the facts, looked at the video, considered everything that we could do in terms of making a charging decision. If any decision that I ultimately make, I'm responsible for on behalf of the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office, but I absolutely don't make decisions in a vacuum. Just because I'm the authoritative head of that office doesn't mean that I make decisions without consulting others, whether it be law enforcement, victims' families, or obviously other prosecutors in our office.
Understood.
And
Better,
that was done.
More minds looking at it.
Yeah.
Cover it from all angles. I got it, Joe.
Oh, okay, Joe. So the situation is that there's a confrontation inside the store between rival gang members. Marcus Guillen, the one that was killed, and his rival gang members.
That's correct.
They go out the store. They leave the store.
An important point, though, Lance,
is
that
ahead.
Mr. Guillen, the decedent in this particular case, initiated that, and it was clear on video that he attacked one of the rival gang members first. Whether they
outside the store?
No, inside the store. And it was a full-on fight inside the store. In the memo that I filed and that everyone has access to in the public as a public disclosure, absolutely it was a melee. Okay, so that's what starts this particular incident, is that the decedent, does that give them permission to kill him later? No. But the whole idea is when we look at these, once again, getting into self-defense and the evaluation of that as a defense, that's a factor. That's something we can't ignore, right? He was the first aggressor under the set of facts that were provided through the investigation.
So they leave the store and the shooting happens. Do they shoot first?
That's the critical issue. We can't tell from not only the video, from witness statements, from evidence that we have to gather from the Yakima Police Department investigation. What they do is they gather evidence, they provide it to us, we discuss it with them, they do their due diligence, and we do ours, and we evaluate the evidence. Now, we're tasked under the statutory, under RCW, clearly, as prosecutors, to make a decision, and we have to take into account all absolute reasonable defenses in making a charging decision. And so you can't just say, well, there's a dead body, therefore we have to charge it out. And if they provide a self-defense, well, that's just what they're going to do. But you don't have to take that into account. You can charge out anyway. We can't do that ethically or professionally. So we have to evaluate this in light of the self-defense. And what the facts showed is that arguably would be considered by a judge or jury as a simultaneous shooting based upon the facts that we know. And because of that, can I sit here and say that I can prove this beyond a reasonable doubt to a judge or a jury, indicating that the first aggressor and the two guys that rolled the windows down and put their arms outside that vehicle, shot him first, and even though he had a gun, he was shot first. Clearly, they're the aggressor, therefore we can charge murder. We can't say that. And if I can't say that now, I'm ethically bound to take that into account in terms of my decision-making processes.
There's no ballistic process that will allow you to say which gun went off first or anything like that.
No.
Correct. So you basically have what you
Not
say
under these
is a
circumstances.
simultaneous time. All right, so here's the thing. If I'm the guys in the car and somebody just kicked my butt in the store and I'm hot and that guy comes out and sees me, the mere fact that I'm there with a gun ready to go, that doesn't sound like a retaliatory mindset, predetermined to. I mean, I didn't wait to see him get his gun and go, oh, not only did he beat me up, he's now about to shoot me, so let me go get a gun. Like, I'm ready to go. Does that not have a...
Once again, that's great speculation. I appreciate that. And we can sit here all day long at a local bar and having a beer.
Well, let's have one, Joe, on you.
No beer. The reality is this, though. If we can't prove that, if we can't see that through the evidence, and once again, it doesn't matter what you and I believe, Dave. It only matters what we can prove.
Right.
Absolutely crystal clear. And that's the emotionality of the decisions that we make. The emotionality is charge it out because there's a dead body.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. The differentiation between mindset between investigating officer and prosecutor. I mean, most of us know that only through television and movies, right? Oh, we had him dead to rights and the prosecutor let him go or whatever, or our street sense or our gut or our knowledge or our speculation tells me that this is the way it went down. But again, then ultimately it comes to you and you have to use things that you can actually use and prove in court. And while they may be able to go and make great testimony on that, that doesn't necessarily make it convincing evidence in a decision-making process for a jury, right? other than if the jury bought into the emotion and said, man, those cops are hot. They knew it happened that way. They're saying, sorry, Joe, they were ready. And, I mean, you run the risk that the jury believes that as opposed to whatever a more measured case might be that you put down that's saying that here's what we do know, here's what the video shows, the eyewitness accounts show, and all of that. So that's kind of what you're
doing. And here's the deal. I mean, first of all, I'm very proud of the office that I'm able to work in, right? And we have great prosecutors in that office. And all 90 people in the Yakima County Prosecutor's Office in every division do a fantastic job. It's a fantastic office. The reality is that emotionally, the first thing that we always look at is we want to charge them with a crime, okay? We're an aggressive, conservative office that wants to attack the criminal element in Yakima County. That is our goal.
Gang or no gang, we got a dead body on the street, right?
But that's the easy part. The easy part would be for us to charge this out. The easy part, clearly, because we know we'd have immediate backing. YPD would be excited. The community would be excited.
Well,
the victim's
is there some value? Is there some value to that?
Is there any value in that?
Oh, there always is. There always is. But is it the right thing to do? Is it
well,
the thing?
Let's say
we still got a dead guy.
Well, I mean, let's say you did that and you did charge it out, and you did lose. What? I mean, what are you?
We're no different than we are now.
Yeah.
Okay, but would you guys sitting here, and I say this very poignantly, would this community want me as Yakima County prosecutor or our office to charge someone with a crime because it's the popular thing to do? No. Would you want to be embroiled in the criminal justice system?
No, Joe. Here's the thing. I respect you. I think Yakima respects you. That's why you go back to work every 4 years. I think they want you to do the right thing. I also think that there is a certain sense in this community. What did we hear? What was your story yesterday? Jungle Drums are talking now about gang retaliations coming.
Yeah.
And
you know that.
I've had that discussion with Chief Murray. You bet.
A serious consideration. So while I am 100%, I guess my question is, ethics plus. Is there a place for ethics plus just for the sake of the community? And I don't know that. You're a man of honor and you're a man of integrity, and you don't get pushed into making those decisions. At some point, men of honor in certain communities lose their standing because the community is just too fed up or too whatever. So, I mean, that's the tightrope you have to walk, isn't it?
It's a slippery slope, my
yes,
friend,
sir. Yeah.
Because once you start going down the road where it's like, but Joe, you sound like people that have talked to me, including law enforcement officers, Dave. Take a chance, still. Take a chance. Just charge it out. See what happens. Throw it on the wall and see what sticks. Do you want your county prosecutor to be like that if that comes to you? Now, if you were to commit a crime, okay, so is.
But I'm not a dirtbag you're going to be running across either.
Yeah, I'm not fighting with my rival gang members in a local store. I'm not shooting outside. I mean,
you're fighting with your neighbor over the flag, making too much noise. You know that.
Gentlemen, please understand that it's not relative to what we're talking about. If your ethics and morals are one way, do you compromise those in some way simply because it's the popular thing to do?
No, and this is a philosophical, ethical conversation, right? This is we're not directing a course of action or a change. People need to hear this. People need to know the kinds of weighty decisions that go into considerations that go into the decisions that you make, and we've had several of these. And I really appreciate them. We're getting inside the mind of what makes for an ethical, fair to all sort of judicial system in a community. And sometimes it smells and it's still the right thing, and sometimes it's sweet and it's the wrong thing. It doesn't matter. It's what is the right thing, no matter what it smells and looks like. And we get that, Joe. Please understand.
Well, I used to use, when I'd pick a jury, I used to use the example of Jack Ruby, who killed Lee Harvey Oswald. And he did it in front of millions of people on TV. Was he presumed innocent? Yeah. Did he deserve a right to a fair jury trial? Absolutely. Yeah, did everybody see it?
I don't know if he was presumed innocent, but yes, that's innocent. Under the eyes of the law, absolutely.
Yeah. And so why change that for anybody else? If you can say that as an extreme example, when I would say that to juries, I had jurors in voir dire say literally, well, no, we all saw that he was guilty. No, but he's still presumed innocent under the law.
Yeah.
And he has all the benefits and the defenses available to him, regardless of what the evidence is.
God bless our wacky system.
And and quite frankly, if I'm put in a position where the popular idea is that I have to do this just to keep my job, then I don't want this job. I'm not the right person for this job for Yakima County.
And Yakima needs to know that, and I think that's it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to bubble over. It's easy to read the body chalk outlines and the decisions and all of that without really understanding the whole interconnectedness of ethics and fairness and the way the process works. People just get frustrated, want to throw up their hands.
Well, I hope you understand that I'm exceptionally frustrated because I have to make that decision. Yeah. I'm as frustrated or more frustrated than anybody in the community. The reality is we as an office absolutely are frustrated because our job is to charge people with crime, right? And to evaluate these cases.
You're to protect us, and we got people shooting each other.
Right.
And if that isn't the ultimate frustration for you, I don't know what would be.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely frustrating, and it's extremely tragic.
What a message we're sending.
45 seconds, Joe. Last word's yours before we get out of here.
Okay.
Well, once again, I appreciate the ability to be able to describe and to talk about this. I'll come on your show anytime to talk about any decision we make. And I realize that it's an unpopular decision, but I want you to know that every officer that I talked to at least understood the decision that I made, as well as the other prosecutors in our office that discussed it with me. We collectively and collaboratively talked about this, and though it was an unpopular decision, and though there could be retaliatory issues coming up, once again, I grew up in this community. I live here. I've raised a family here. I want this community to be as safe as possible, and I go to work every day saying, how can I serve this community and make it safer? That's the whole issue.
Joe Brusic, County Prosecutor. As always, straight shooting. Appreciate your time. Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I still think that beer and you and me conversation down there. Think about it. Joe, thanks.